Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal with NVIDIA Daily Analysis. So finally, NVIDIA went up today. Let's discuss NVIDIA price movement for today and try to make an assessment for early next week. Starting with the daily summary, NVIDIA opened at 128.26. It made a high 131.92. It made a low 127.22 and it closed at 129.24. That is 1.44% up. So if you take a look after Nvidia opened today, it got the positive momentum and one time it touched about 132. So this tells that Nvidia got some momentum and it's a good sign for early next week as well. As I predicted yesterday that either today or early next week, Nvidia should bounce back because yesterday drop did not make much sense to me. And besides Nvidia, I see that overall market was up today. Let's take a look S&P. You see S&P was up 0.55% and Nasdaq 0.63% and now Dow Jones 0.62%. I was expecting this kind of upside yesterday after the CPI data. So finally market caught up. But today, one thing negative about the overall market and the data is the PPI data that came higher than expected. Let's take a look. So PPI actuals came 2.6% versus forecast 2.3%. So it came 0.3% higher. And the core PPI came 3% actual versus 2.5% forecast. So this tells that we should not be too much happy about the inflation going down because the CPI data yesterday came lower than the forecast, but the PPI went the other way. So this might dilute our case for the rate cut. We need to see more evidence, probably PC index sometime later this month, and also the next CPI data for next month that can validate if inflation is really going down. Probably that's why Mr. Paul said during his speech to the House and the Senate that Fed need to see more evidence of the inflation going down. And that makes sense to me. And moving on, last 5 days, Nvidia up 1.48%, last 1 month 3.2% up, and last 6 months Nvidia up 136.29%. Probably Nvidia came down about 5 or 6% in last few days overall. You take a look. Sometime on Wednesday, it touched 134.91 and right now is at around 129. Now let's take a look forward PE for Nvidia, SMCI, Palantir, and AMD and try to make some assessment for early next week. So as of now, Nvidia forward PE is at 47.88. That is comparatively higher than the last 6 week of average. And that gives 45.58. But still, Nvidia's forward PE is lower than 50. And I warned you probably a few days back that if Nvidia forward PE goes above 50, that makes Nvidia a risky buy. So that's exactly happened probably day before yesterday that Nvidia was about to touch 50 and we saw some drop yesterday. But yesterday drop was too big in my opinion. I was not expecting 6% drop yesterday. Now moving on, Palantir 85.06 is already high and not gonna touch Palantir at this point. SMCI 29.15 is comparatively higher than the last 6 week of average and that was 26.53. I'm waiting for SMCI to go further down before I buy SMCI. And AMD 52.32. So it's also comparatively high if you compare with the last 6 months of average, and that was 47.54. So this looks to me that Nvidia is still a better choice out of these four stocks. Now let's take a look at Nvidia historical stock split data and try to make some assessment. As you see on your screen, Nvidia completed week number 5 after split became effective. The week number 5 Nvidia is up 36.16% from the announcement date. In the last split cycle at the end of week 5, Nvidia was up 48.20% from the announcement date. So this time it's comparatively lower, and I was not expecting Nvidia to go that high in week number 5. So it kind of makes sense from week 4 to week 5, probably about 4% upside. And this increases the probability for Nvidia to go up next week. Now let's take a look last quarter Nvidia historical price data. I showed you this chart a few days ago as well, and you can notice that in the second month after earnings, Nvidia slowed down. The first month, it went up probably about 15 to 20% from the earnings. So, same behavior I was expecting in this quarter as well. So, this chart shows the current quarter after earnings. So, Nvidia, see that after first month, the first month ended sometime in 22nd June. So, after that, Nvidia showed some positive momentum, but the momentum was not that high as we experienced in the first month. So slowing down a little bit in the second month, but this slowdown is not as high as we saw in the last quarter. Now let's take a look technical charts. You see 90-day hourly interval chart for Nvidia and also the MACD chart. The steep curve we noticed on Thursday, and after reaching the bottom, Nvidia got some positive momentum, and finally Nvidia went up today. I predicted that Nvidia should go up either today or Monday. So for Monday, I still see that the positive momentum is there. So I'm guessing on Monday, Nvidia should go up as well. Now let's take a look Bollinger Bands. You see Bollinger Bands on your screen, the upper band and the lower band and the middle line, and also Nvidia stock chart. So after getting some correction yesterday, about 6%, you see that the upper and lower band started showing some flatness, right? Yesterday, the curve was steeper, see, both bands, but now it looks to me going straight. So this tells that the negative momentum at this point is gone from Nvidia, and this is similar to what I expected. This kind of behavior after getting high, there should be some drop, right? And that's what we saw yesterday, and also similar behavior here. We saw after going up, went down probably about 4 or 5%, and again we saw some consolidation. On Monday, I'm not expecting a big jump, but still, Nvidia should maintain its upward momentum. And if I talk about next week overall, it depends which days Nvidia goes up or goes down. But if I take a look big picture, Nvidia should be up probably about 4 or 5% by the end of next week from this week. Now let's take a look news regarding Nvidia. Now I see again people started talking about Nvidia should go up. You see this one that says why Nvidia stock can keep climbing plus Apple, MGM and more from analyst report. That's from Barron. Another one, and this looks interesting, that says Nvidia's stock bounces back and could rally another 30%, analyst says. So did you notice something? Yesterday, when Nvidia went down, we saw more news and data that talks about Nvidia should go down or Nvidia should do some correction. But today, all of a sudden, we see that analysts talking about Nvidia should go up. And that's what happens, when you see Nvidia started getting positive momentum, you'll see more news about Nvidia going up. And if you see Nvidia went down in some days, you see more news about Nvidia should go down further. But as long as we do not have the supporting data or evidence, we cannot read too much into this kind of analysis. Now, moving on. So, now this one that says Nvidia to rally more than 33%. Here are 10 top analyst forecasts for Friday. So, now we got another price target increase, and that is from Benchmark that maintains buy on Nvidia and raises the price target to 170. I also see some news or analysis regarding Fed rate. For example, this one that says Fed rates look imminent. So, yeah, we see that the rate cut might be coming sometime in Q3 or Q4. So, next FOMC meeting will be very critical. Now, let's take a look at other AI stocks. So, we noticed that SoundHound got the highest positive change today, and that is 15.46%. At this point, SoundHound is 6.20. So next one is SMCI, that is 2.33% up, and then Palantir 1.56% up, and Nvidia 1.44% up, and Apple 1.31% up. AMD, Microsoft, Amazon, and Avago are negative today. And it kind of makes sense for AMD because last few days AMD went up too high, probably about 20 or 25 point in just 1 week. So after looking at the overall picture, it looks to me that Nvidia is a better choice in the near future if we take a look overall stock price volatility and the upside potential. Some stocks can go up more than Nvidia, but you see the volatility is too high. So that makes those stocks very risky. For example, SoundHound, and also I would consider Palantir, high volatile stocks. Now, let's take a quick look on the economic data that's going to be released next week. So, next week on Monday, nothing much is coming, but we see that the Fed chairman, Mr. Paul, is speaking. So, that will be important. On Tuesday, I don't see big data is coming. Wednesday, nothing much. Thursday, weekly initial jobless claim. That could be important. And on Friday, also nothing much. So next week is pretty quiet, except Monday. And also, I forgot to tell you about my positions. So today was a quiet day for me. I did not buy or sell any stock. Yesterday, I showed you that I bought Nvidia stocks around 127 and 126. So I'm still in profit on Nvidia. Probably I'll wait next week if Nvidia goes up further, probably above 135. That might be a good selling opportunity for me, but will depend on the situation. I guess that's all about Nvidia analysis and assessment for early next week. I hope you liked the video. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you more tomorrow. Take care.